Okay, so in this example, I'm going to show you how to overload a constructor. So whenever you create constructor, what it simply is you're just creating a method named the same name as the class. So right here we have public class chapter 1. And we have 4 private attributes for this class. We have private string health insurance, private int policy number, private double insurance cost, and private int member ID. Right here we have our constructor. So for constructors, constructor methods only have the accessor and the class name. So the accessor being like public, protected, private. In this case, it usually will be public. So we have public chapter 1, which is the class name. That's going to be the constructor. And right here, but constructors are useful because it allows you to manipulate and again assign values to objects. So right here, what it's doing is it's taking string insurance, int number, and double cost. It's declaring those variables, right? It's declaring those variables and it's assigning those variables back into the variable that we've declared in this class. So how we actually assign those variables and give it some values is we create objects that get assigned values, which then get passed into these parameters back into this method and assigns it back into these attributes. So just to show you, we're going to go back to this class called chapter 3, and we have a main method here. In this main method, we've created objects of chapter 1 or instances of chapter 1. So we have chapter 1 first, which is the object identifier, the object name, and then we have equals new chapter 1. So we have the class name, the object name equals new class name, right? And that's how you declare an object. So say that we want to pass values to that object. Right here we have insurance, the insurance name. So we have Blue Cross, right? We've assigned Blue Cross to object. And how that gets assigned is Blue Cross gets passed into this constructor method that accepts string insurance, right? So Blue Cross gets passed into here, gets accepted as a parameter, which now is a value of Blue Cross, and Blue Cross gets assigned back into health insurance. Now, if you notice, I've also assigned the number 323275 as a policy number and $150.23 and assigned it to insurance costs. Okay, constructors are useful because you're able to manipulate these values, right? So right here, this method accepts 3 values that get passed in, whereas in here it only accepts the insurance, right? And we were able to just assign values directly here. It's going to recognize that this string, right, this string gets recognized from this method, right, because it only accepts that string variable, okay? And then right here we have this object called second from chapter 1, and we assign values of United Healthcare, a string United Healthcare, an integer of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and a cost of $55. So if we go back into this class, you'll see here that we have also a string, an int, and a double, right? So it's going to recognize those values that we assign to this object, and it's going to pass it here and assign those values here. Okay, so and likewise, we need to return those values. So right here it assigns the values, right? Assigns the values to the object, and we need to return those values now. So this returns the values. Okay. Actually, if we go here, I created this third object, excuse me. So I've created this third object called from chapter 1. And if you go back to this class, where'd it go? We go back to this class. This constructor method actually is just essentially is already assigned within this method. So it already assigns those values. And so this third object from chapter 1 is simply just calling to this constructor right here, and those are essentially the values that are assigned to that object. Okay, and I know that's like a lot to go over, a lot that I just went over, but to go over it one more time, let's go back here. So again, we're using overloading. We're using constructors, and we're overloading them, right? So we're manipulating values. Okay. Alrighty. Okay, so each of these constructors accept parameters, right? None of them are the same. Notice how each one accepts different links of data types, right? And that's how it recognizes what's coming from where.